Good morning, friends. Once again, it is sunrise, the first sunrise of 2022, our new year filled with new possibilities, and I'm excited to start it with you. I wanted to talk a little bit today about compassion. I think it's something that we've been missing quite a bit of societally. I mean, really, for a long time. Who couldn't use more of that? But I think specifically as we see the ways that people interact with each other online, virtually, those kind of things, we see vitriol and these kind of ugly behaviors. So my mom would have said ugly behaviors from people towards each other. And I think at least part of the answer to that is compassion. When I think about Jesus's ministry, he was always attempting to be compassionate towards those who were excluded or on the margins or decidedly undesirable, prostitutes and tax collectors, who were seen as sort of the money scheming kind of greedy people, poor folks, unwell folks, those kinds of things. I also think about this, so I think I've told you all before if you've been following along multiple Sundays, but I've been reading this book called When Things Fall Apart by a woman named Pema Chodron, and it's primarily Buddhist teaching. She's a Tibetan nun. But the reading that was this week was about compassion, and one of the things that she talked about is that we have to start from that place of compassion for ourselves, and part of what that requires of us is to reduce our categories, our convictions of right and wrong. And when we can do that, when we can hold those things a little more loosely, that allows us to have compassion for the other, whom often our struggle with having compassion for is that we've decided is wrong. And, I'll give you an example that just happened. There was a gentleman walking down the beach smoking, and I watched as he went and threw his cigarette butt in the ocean. And my initial thought was, that's just wrong. My dad will tell you that's been a phrase of mine since I was very young. That's just wrong. And, oh, good, look, the sun's coming up. Amazing. And I'm not saying that it's right, and I'm not saying that reducing my conviction of right and wrong. What I am saying is that the intensity of how I respond to that is based on my own fear of my own wrongdoing and being. My own fears about how I impact the larger scheme of things with my tiny little 1-second choices that happen all the time. When I am convicting others of being unjust and unfair, it's because there's a part of me that feels like I am unjust and unfair. Or when I'm convicting others of being greedy or being foolish, the intensity of how I feel about others behaving that way is rooted in how I feel about myself being foolish or unjust or unfair or unkind. So maybe that's part of our challenge as we go into a new year, is to find ways to be compassionate to ourselves and the parts of us that are unkind, unfair, unjust, greedy, selfish, whatever labels we're applying to ourselves. And as we harness a bit of self-compassion, we can also generate some compassion for those we call other. And part of that story too is that you never know all that someone is facing as they make the decisions they make, that then I sit externally and judge. Whoops. So we'll take that as our idea for the week, to embrace our self-compassion, to learn to love the parts of us that seem unlovable, and in doing so, generate some love and compassion for those outside us that behave in ways that we see as undesirable. I want to share just one other thing in light of the virus kind of popping back up again. Let's hope for the last time. Why not hope? Missing Peace will not be gathering in the month of January, but please keep an eye on Facebook, social media, YouTube, missingpeacecommunity.com for the ways that you can join us in person. We're hoping for next month. So Happy New Year. My hope and my prayer for you is that you continue to find self-compassion and that as you discover it, you also discover a compassion for those you call other. Grace and peace, friends.